When the local factory closes or a natural disaster hits, we rely on the nonprofit sector to catch the people who fall through the cracks. They are society's safety net, delivering bags of food and running the after-school programs where the government and the free market fall short. But this chart, showing the net trust in global charities, reveals a serious vulnerability. You can see the United States down here at 40% active trust, trailing noticeably behind neighboring regions like Canada, which sits at 58%. Over the course of 2025 alone, public confidence in these organizations experienced a steep and sudden collapse. The immediate assumption is usually scandal. We hear a few stories about embezzled funds or tainted donor money, and it's easy to assume the public is turning its back because they think charity leaders are unethical or corrupt. The survey data points to a completely different problem. People still believe in the sector's heart. They trust the intent of these organizations. What they have stopped believing in is their hands, their actual ability to execute and deliver results. To understand this, we can look at the Edelman Trust Barometer. They measure institutional trust across a dual-axis framework. You have ethics on the vertical axis, meaning good intentions, and competence on the horizontal axis, meaning the ability to get things done. When you map standard institutions here, clear patterns emerge. The public views businesses as highly competent, but generally unethical. The government, meanwhile, scores low on both axes. Then we have nonprofits. They occupy the top left quadrant. They lead every other sector in ethics, but they are firmly in the red on competence. The public trusts that they want to solve issues like homelessness or hunger, but strongly doubts they have the capacity to do it. We are left with a massive disconnect. The organizations explicitly designed to care for our communities are perceived as the least capable of actually helping them. This chart, showing simple growth and sales lines on a whiteboard, highlights exactly why competence is so hard to prove. A business can measure success in quarterly revenue. A social program has to measure success in something like the number of teenagers who avoid the juvenile justice system or breaking cycles of intergenerational poverty. Those outcomes take decades to materialize. Because funders demand regular, immediate proof of impact, charities fall into the heads and dollars trap. They end up counting the things that are easy to track for an annual report, like the number of volunteers who showed up or the total dollars raised at a gala. For the public looking from the outside, this creates a frustrating illusion. They read newsletters boasting about millions of dollars raised and thousands of meals served. Yet they look out their living room windows and see the exact same local problems persisting year after year. By forcing nonprofits to squeeze complex, long-term social work into a corporate reporting structure, we have inadvertently hidden the true value of their work from the communities they serve. This tax form shows another layer of the pressure cooker. Under new tax legislation, the floor for charitable deductions shifted. Now individuals have to give more than 0.5% of their income to see a tax benefit. This encourages donors to bunch their giving, holding back for years and then giving one large lump sum, making revenue incredibly unpredictable. At the same time, the federal government spent 2025 locked in a funding crisis. Sudden stop work orders and wide-scale grant freezes left thousands of local organizations completely paralyzed, forced into a wait-and-see holding pattern. 1/3 of all nonprofits surveyed reported severe disruptions to their government funding this year. With cash flow frozen, organizations had no choice but to lay off core staff and immediately suspend ongoing community programs. The strain is breaking the workforce. According to the State of Nonprofits data, 89% of nonprofit leaders report that severe burnout is actively degrading their staff's ability to function. When a local neighborhood health clinic cancels patient appointments or a vital after-school program permanently shuts its doors, the community doesn't blame federal tax shifts or delayed government reimbursement checks. They look at the local charity and blame them for being incompetent. The perception that charities don't know how to operate is largely a symptom of the environment we force them to operate in. The sector is starved of reliable cash while being simultaneously drowned in restrictive, short-term administrative red tape. And the math simply does not support the expectations we place on them. The total assets of every private and community foundation in the country amount to roughly $1.4 trillion. Federal expenditures are almost 5 times that amount. Philanthropy cannot stretch to replace a contracting government safety net. Some major donors are recognizing the flaw in the system and shifting towards trust-based philanthropy. This means providing unrestricted funding, money the organization can spend on rent, technology, or staff salaries, and drastically simplifying reporting requirements so teams can focus on the mission instead of the paperwork. Organizations on the ground are also adapting through collective impact. Instead of competing for the same shrinking pool of dollars, they are joining forces, sharing administrative costs, and merging services to survive the financial squeeze together. Restoring faith in civil society requires a shift in how we evaluate it. For a nonprofit to move from well-intentioned to genuinely capable, it must be allowed to invest in its own survival. Resourcing these organizations ensures they can finally be as competent as our society requires them to be.